Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have one addition under action items B7D, approved property value adjustments, local board of appeal. Is there any other changes? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that addition?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Heidi.
Second.
Second from Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the April 15th, 2015 regular meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the April 15th, 2015 regular meeting?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Now is our public open forum. We do have a public hearing coming up. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council on any other matters? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing none, our public open forum is now closed. We will then go on to reports and presentations. Janelle Kendall, our Stearns County Attorney.
Good evening, and your Sauk City Attorney under contract. Thank you for continuing that relationship. We continue a strong relationship with the police department here in Sauk Center, so I'm here to make the annual report. As I traditionally do, I will start with the cases that we diverted in my office. As you know, we have a program for first-time offenders. There were some persons from your jurisdiction who got to do that this year. There was also some community service work that was done in Sauk Center. So we make sure that we keep in contact with you if there are city projects that you would like done as community service through the diversion program. We're happy to help with that. Very commonly, people who commit offenses in your town might want to do their community service work somewhere else, and vice versa. So we do make sure that folks know that we have that available. People are very often very happy to be able to do some community service and work off basically their debt back to the society, and we have that and some of that done this year. The actual names of those juveniles are provided to the police chief, but because they're not public, we don't chief folks. Just to let you know that that's going on, and to, as always, our city administrator knows, give us a call. The names of members that are on there that you can talk to. Going to your contract report and the prosecution, one looks like this. As you can see, it was been almost identical for 3 years in a row. The good news is that your numbers are not going up. The other good news is that you're getting the type of enforcement that you're asking for. We're not seeing anything that jumps out at us here as something different. I can tell you that generally crime has gone up countywide the last 2 years, but when I look at what's going on in serious crime in their town, it's actually going down here, so things are going well. But in terms of, again, the misdemeanor citations that we put in your contract as your city attorney, those are almost identical to the third year in a row. So that just goes to show some consistency. When you turn then to this page, which is what's going on overall in the county, these are the felony crimes, serious crimes that are coming to my offices in other jurisdictions. There again, you can see a significant jump in crime across the county. I can tell you that happened across the state, across the nation over the last couple of years. As I think we spoke about briefly last year, when the economy went down, crime went down. People are sometimes surprised by that. People out of work, people in hard times. That doesn't make them dishonest or violent. It just doesn't. Crime goes down, everybody kind of goes back home. And then as the economy came back, ironically enough, we saw some increases. And we are on absolutely a record pace right now. Child protection cases before the governor's task force started talking about changing the rules. So we're going to see those numbers go up even more. Personally, I think that's, in professional, I think that's a good thing. That means we're getting a chance to community. It means we're getting a chance to get folks some help before things get worse than that. And then the child protection side, sometimes over to the criminal justice side. So juvenile crime remains down, and it's just not coming back. So there's something that we're doing right there. It's not like we're not catching them. It's just not happening as often as it used to, so that's good. When I look at your Sauk Center felony serious crimes over time, generally back to 2010, Sauk Center is usually in the 40s. 2014 had 57 felonies here. You say it went up everywhere, but right now you're on pace for 30 this year. So that went up, and now it's going right back down. So there again, everybody's jumped the last couple of years, so did yours, but maybe yours now will go back down. We have a very good relationship with your police department, the chief and the officers, and I'm afraid to call us if they want to know why something is going a certain way or not going a certain way. And we appreciate that. We will try to hear from them when they have questions, rather than just kind of mulling it between themselves. We're happy with the way the situation is going, but I come back every year to make sure you're happy with how the situation is going and answer any questions that you might have.
Council have any questions? I guess, is the diversion program, is that getting more participation basically, or?
It is, and it's been kind of taken over by St. Cloud and Wake Park, frankly. So we're going to go to another method that we can get more people in. We want more people to be able to take advantage of that, because frankly, we find that the first time offender, whether they go to court or whether they go through my diversion program, they pay restitution. Either way, it comes out well for 80-some% of them. They go on to not have further problems, so we can avoid putting them in court and having a record for that. I think that's a good thing. So actually, June 2nd, we have a meeting with a new vendor and a number of members of law enforcement to look at doing things significantly driving that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you, Janelle.
Thank you for having me, and call anytime. You don't have to wait for me to come.
No.
Share the questions, your data that you want. Again, I know everybody knows our phone numbers, but you feel free to interact more than when I come and make a report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Park Board report. Vicki?
Vicki, is that microphone on? Maybe it's just quiet.
Says it's on.
Well, that sounds, so that sounds like it might come through.
Did you hear?
Pardon?
It's just not coming on. The light is on. It's on. And the volume is on? I don't know what to do about it. I'll talk loud, maybe. Okay. The park board met in their regular session last night. It was their regular meeting of the year. They had a couple items on the agenda. They did add one site to the monthly rate. We currently had 10 sites, and they're changing that to 11. Some of the unfinished business they discussed, they talked about the splash pad and the permit requirements that came down from the state for the splash pad, all of which we had expected to happen. We do have to add an exhaust fan in the mechanical room. That's really the only change that we have to make. They will be having two of our staff will be attending pool operators class next week, so we will have some duplication there. They are going to go out now with that splash pad naming rights, and they're going to be discussing that criteria, and you'll get some ongoing information about that. And we are beginning the design of the splash pad rain garden, so if anybody wants to participate in that design, certainly let me know, and we will get you in there. And even if you don't participate in the design, you're certainly welcome to participate when we do the planting. And we are required to have a local match, and hours that staff and volunteers put in to count toward that local match. They did table the public landing dock system pending some pending donations. So we're waiting to see that. We did put the old dock in, so that is up and working, and then if the new one comes in the season, we'll get it installed. Some new business, if you recall, they had changed some campground rules regarding the parking of the campers and the seasonal sites, and the recommendation was to back them in. For this year, though, we talked about that last night. There's some of the services that are located that prohibit that. So we left the rules alone, except that the campground manager is going to have to work with those people to make sure we get them, and then this fall we'll revisit that. Informational items they had, the Tower View Park, the ball field improvements will be done. They were going to do it this weekend, and they got something else came up, but that's the Baseball Association that is working on that. And then also a few items have gone up in the Hickman Park, which had just a swing set for many years. So this is kind of the things that are happening at the park. Does anybody have any questions?
Just when do you expect the splash pad to be operational?
Everything is done for the splash pad on our end. We're just waiting for the equipment to arrive and the crew to arrive.
Okay.
So I initially had a ship date of May 4th on the equipment, except then that got delayed because the Department of Health had some questions, and then in the meantime, someone got scheduled in there. So I'm still waiting to hear back from them on that. They said they still expect to ship in May, and then when their crew comes in, it takes 3 weeks. So I expect some installation probably in June.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the EDA report.
The EDA met today in their regular session. A couple of things, they did have a nice report from the Chamber of Commerce on some site visits and different things that they're doing to find out what the businesses need in the community, and we'll be working on them with that information. Sauk Center Opportunities is working on a building in the industrial park, and the footings are in on that, so that's a new project going in. We did have some unfinished business. We had a request to purchase a part of that railroad property that we had purchased, but the EDA is recommending to keep the property intact so that it's more desirable for a development like a townhome or something like that. They are also working on development criteria for the industrial park, which would be where Unger property that we purchased and the racetrack property, and kind of have some criteria of, what would qualify to go in there, how big of parcels we want to see. So that's an ongoing project with the EDA. And they also got a counter offer on the land rent for the Unger property. And they also heard that the Homer House now on an old loan converted to grant many years ago, that this was the last year of the grant conversion, so that satisfaction has been made. So it's the EDA, if anybody has any questions.
Questions? Comments? Okay. Thank you. With that, we will move on to our public hearing, which will recess this council meeting and call this public hearing to order. We have a public hearing before us this evening regarding the annexation of property. It is our intention that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak, please sign in on the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. The procedure is as follows. Presentation by staff, followed by questions of staff. Owner presentations or additions, followed by questions of owner. Then public input. Raise your hand. When recognized by the mayor, approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. State your comments and position. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to be heard. First, we will hear questions for clarification. Second, we will ask for public in favor of the proposal. Third, we will ask for public speaking against the proposal. After everyone who wishes to speak has had the opportunity to be heard, the hearing will be closed. After closure of the public hearing, the council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not participate in the council's discussion unless a majority of the council concedes to hear additional information or questions. The hearing is now in session. There will be an action item later on tonight after the public hearing is closed, just for your information. So, Vicki?
Okay, as you know, the city received a petition for annexation of property located on the west side of Manette Road, which is the city limit road with Sauk Center Township. The petition was for an annexation by ordinance proceeding.
A copy of the petition was sent to the township with an offer to negotiate an orderly annexation agreement as an alternative to the annexation by ordinance proceeding. We did not receive a request, so we are proceeding with it at this way, with the ordinance. Prior to adopting the ordinance, we must first conduct a public hearing. Notices were sent to the neighboring property owners and Sauk Center Township, and was also published in the Sauk Center Herald. The area proposed to be annexed is 1 acre in size. The reason for the request is so that access can be gained for municipal utilities, including city sewer and city water. The property location is shown on the attached map at 290 Manette Road, and I did include that map in the notice to all the property owners too, so they're aware of where that property is. The legal description is Lot 1, Block 1 of Reland's Addition. As part of the proceeding, the city ordinance must declare how payment will be made to the township, which is required by law. The proposal is to remit an equal amount each year to the township equal to its share of property tax for the paid 2016 tax year, which is based on the value of the property on January 2nd, 2015. For 2015, the township share of the property tax on that property was $22.10. I did contact the county assessor because of the new building on the property to find out what it is assessed for 2016. And with the addition of the building, the township's share of property tax would go to $88 starting in 2016. So that's something you should keep in mind when you're determining the dollar amount that you wish to pay to the township each year for the next 5 years if you proceed with this ordinance. Do you have any questions of me before you hear the petitioner?
Just one for clarification. You said it would go to $88. Is that next year?
$88 would be the 2016 that they would receive, yes, because 2015 taxes have already been levied. I guess there was one additional thing I wanted to add. I had a question about the existing building and the setbacks that are on there, and I do have a copy of the permit that was approved by Stearns County and the township, which showed a 28-foot setback from the side and 100 feet from the road setback. I did go out there and measure today, and we came with about 26 feet from the side and about 107 from the road. So, but then we broke the tape measures, so we didn't go any further than that. So that structure that is in there does meet the setbacks to come into the city.
Any other questions? I know I had one phone call last night that had mentioned they weren't sure how that lot became due to, I think through the county, it said anyone with less than 3 acres, and the township wasn't able to split the lot off or sell any property. And I had a question, I wasn't sure of what the answer was on that.
The property was actually platted in 2014, and so as a part of the plat, this lot was created, and of course it was approved by the county and the township, and of course the property owner that was selling the property. So it's my understanding, like if you want to create a lot split, if you have land and you just want to chunk off, you have different criteria than if you actually plat it. So it was platted property.
Okay. Any other questions at this time?
This lot would come in as a residential lot?
This would be a residential lot.
It meets our residential zoning requirements? Or?
It is actually much larger than our minimum requirements.
Okay, but all the other various requirements?
It meets the setbacks and impervious coverage.
Okay, building type and all that sort of thing?
It's a detached garage right now.
Okay.
There'll be a house eventually on there, but right now in the city, we don't allow detached garages that are not the primary structure. And so, but to get it in the city so you can build a house and you need municipal services, that kind of all goes together.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Comments? Staff, you have anything else?
I have no other, nothing to add unless the applicant has something he wishes to add.
Okay. The applicant want to come forward? State your name and address.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tim DeShane, 425 Pine Street South. Just give you a little history. We purchased, my wife Jody and I purchased the land about a year ago from Josh Reland. We did go through the plotting procedure through environmental services, the county and the township when we did that. I acquired a permit from the township to put up a structure, which is 36 by 56 shed. During the process, we decided to plumb it for water and sewer with the future possibility of putting a residential house just to the north of that structure. After I got bids for the putting in a septic and a well, I thought it would be feasible to ask the city to annex the property and so I could hook it up to the city services. My understanding and my research states that I would be the only one affected by this. No other property owner would be affected by this as far as the city gathering all of the property owners. If that is the case, if I'm wrong, I would like to withdraw my application. But anyway, if there's any questions, I can sure field them.
Anyone have any questions? I guess I don't at this time, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we will move on to public input. Anyone that wants to ask any questions as far as clarification of the rules, regulations can speak now. Is there anyone that would want to ask any questions for clarification? Anyone that would like to ask questions for clarification? Seeing none, then we will move on to who would like to speak in favor of this proposal. Come to the front, state your name and...
Josh Reeland, 304 Manette Road. I'm for annexing that property in as long as it's that sole property. If you're going to touch the rest of the block, then I'm against it. So.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Call a third time. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Moving on. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the proposal? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the proposal? Call a third.
I just have a question.
Could you come to the...
Hi, I'm Mary Graves. I'm at 204 Minette, or 208 Minette. Just a question, if this goes through, is it guaranteed that no other property would be affected in the future? It may not happen now, but is there something that will definitely be put in stone that it won't spread after that point?
Vicki, I think basically we can't guarantee it won't happen, but my understanding is that if the city at any point wants to annex a property into a township, we basically can do it with or without the township's wishes.
In every annexation the city has ever done, it's always been initiated by petition of the property owners. If the city and the township got together and developed an orderly annexation procedure, any of the property owners would be involved. But as far as this particular property, it's not going to affect the neighbors unless they come in and petition to come in. So that's kind of how it works. I mean, you petition to come to the city because you want services of the city, and then we have the hearing or we negotiate with the township to bring you into the city. But we have never taken action on any annexation without a petition initiating it. If there was a property owner that everybody petitioned, but one of the people in the group didn't, there's always a possibility, but generally it's 100% petition. And I can't say forever. I don't know what the laws are going to do or change, and they're always changing with municipal boundary adjustments. But as of now, the rules that are there today and the history of the city has always been by petition only.
Okay.
Just for simple clarification, whether we annex this property or not would have no effect on any future annexations anyway.
That is correct.
Any other questions?
You had mentioned the $88, that's to the county, correct?
That would be the township's share of the property taxes.
Okay.
So that is what, if it stayed in the township, that they would receive on that property. And I gave you that as a baseline to make a determination on what we would pay the township over the next 5 years. On the last 2 annexations, we went with that calculation, and then we did increase it a little bit. And that was what we used for the other 2 annexations that we'll start paying them now in July of this year. But this annexation will start in July of 16 because they'll receive the 2015 property taxes with their levy.
Costs for hookup to our city systems, that would be passed on to the,
The property owner would pay that to the public utility.
okay.
Any other questions?
I just have a question for Josh. Was it ever your, I wouldn't say intention, but had you made it known that you didn't wish for this piece of property to be a part of the city boundaries at the time of sale?
Josh,
Was that ever
wants you to
expressed?
come up.
We had talked about it and came to a mutual agreement that once he bought it, it was up to him what he wanted to do. So I didn't say in writing that you could not annex in, but I let him know that I personally and my neighbors did not want to be annexed in. So.
Thank you.
What's the option if this does not become annexed in?
If we don't annex it in, then he's going to have to decide, does he want to put, private well and private septic system in? Or if that's not feasible, does he have any recourse to come back to us? If we deny that I don't know. But generally, the annexation laws are in favor of what the property owner wishes. But that's as a general rule.
Questions? Comments?
It's the general, I take it the general consensus. I talked to a couple people up in that area as well, but it's kind of the general consensus of that group, I gather, not to become part of the city.
It's my understanding that the property owners that are currently in the township wish to stay in the township. They don't want to be attached to this and brought into the city. They wish to stay in the township.
Okay.
And I think they just wanted assurance that we weren't going to cast a wider net and drag them all in, which we couldn't do at this level at this time because that's not the way the law is written.
Sure.
I know the city's annexed individual parcels before, but it's never been to this less of an acreage, basically a 1 acre lot. It's always been a lot larger and more on section lines or quarter section lines boundaries. That's the one thing that bothers me, is whether or not we're going to be setting a precedence as a city to have someone else that is close enough to hook up all of a sudden jumps on the bandwagon, and we got a city limits that's now jumping all over the place. We don't have clear lines. Personally, I looking at the city, benefit of the city, I think, I'm not certain I want to do that.
We do have the last annexation, not counting the ones the city did for our larger purchases. We had an annexation of a single parcel, which was the Bear Trap, when they came in, when they wanted water and sewer. We've had a couple other annexations that are 3 to 4 acre ones. However, generally, most of them were like out in Morning View, where a 40 came in at a time or 38 acres came in at a time because they were going to plat and develop that property. So everybody that has annexed into the city over the years has come into the city because they want city services, they want city water, they want city sewer, and they come into the city for that. And, but you're right, this would be the smallest one that we have done. But it does meet the criteria, it does abut the city, and we have received the petition.
Just for information's sake, and this dates me, but the residents that are across the road from the fairgrounds on 12th Street to the south, that was the township city limit line for a while. None of them houses were in the city limits. There was a few of them at the time that wanted to come in. The city denied it. Eventually, they all petitioned to come in because of the Department of Health came in and said their wells are too close to their septic systems and there was possible contamination. So basically then that whole section came into the city. It kind of falls in place with whether or not the rest of you up there, you may want to be out of the township, but I don't know what well and septic system that might force you to come in if the Department of Health steps in. Just an information's sake, that's sometimes it's comes back to bite you. If you got your well and your septic too close and you don't know it. Josh, you want to come back up? Sure.
Why we're all kind of against it, I'm thinking, and sorry if I'm speaking for you guys too, but we've all been up in the neighborhood about 10 years maximum. So our sewer's been checked, our wells had to be certified multiple times before any of us could take over that house. We're still offsetting all that. That's why we're against being sucked into it right away.
Yep. So I totally
just to clarify that for you.
Yeah, I totally understand it. It was just trying to compare different sections of housing neighborhoods that were in the township that eventually ended coming in because of that reason. And you're in a totally different area and different status. But is there anyone else that would want to speak against the proposal? Call the third and last time. Is there anyone that would want to speak against the proposal? Okay, with that, the public hearing is now closed and we will go back into our normal city council meeting. Action items, ordinance for annexation for the Duchesne property.
This ordinance that is presented to you is ordinance number 759, that this ordinance is set up, if you choose to adopt it, to annex Lot 1, Block 1 of Reland's Addition into the city of Sauk Center. The one thing that I would ask that you do is we would need to select a dollar amount that we would be paying the township for their lost tax revenue. And on our last two annexations, we had negotiated a 5-year pay, and so that is what I have in here as a 5-year. And as I said, I did calculate based what the county assessor gave me the numbers on Monday, that the $88 a year is the tax revenue that they are going to lose on that. And so that is a baseline for you to make a determination of what you would choose to pay the township should you adopt this ordinance.
Questions? I've got one. I know if they build a house on the lot after the fact, if it's annexed into the city,
Yes?
does that affect the amount the township's going to get?
No, because we would set that in our agreement, what the township would get. Historically, what it was the township would get, the first year after, they'd get 90% of what they would have got in that last year it was in the township, and then it would go to 80, and it would have a decreasing thing. And over the years, the municipal boundary adjustment said, no, use that as a baseline, and they preferred a flat fee. But any improvements they make going forward was never part of the calculation to pay back to the township. They're based it on the value for pay the year that it comes into the city.
Okay. I guess I wish the township would have stated where they stand a little better. We just went through annexation for 2 properties south of the freeway, and we just got the working relationship with the township really well. In this case, with this annexation and them not having input, it basically looks like, you know, there's a chance that they could turn around and say, yeah, they did the snatch and grab again. They didn't, even though we did reach out to them, you know, that's always been the standing relation. If someone petitions, we do it, township's not happy with us. Now we're put back in the same situation again. So, personal comment, sorry, shouldn't have done that, but I did.
I have a little more. I asked before about the zoning requirements, and I see that you have an outbuilding here that's 1,800 square feet, which,
The outbuilding would come in as a legally existing non-conforming structure.
okay, that bothers me a little bit. It's just the roundabouts that we have for our zoning rules now. Build whatever you want on the edge of the city and then come in later and do whatever you want.
We have a lot of legally existing
we have a lot of
non-conforming
issues.
structures in the city, so, you know, I guess that'd be a judgment call for you.
Would that impervious structure, you know, if they build a house,
The property is over an acre, the property is over an acre, so they could have,
the square footage isn't
yeah,
gonna affect it?
it's not an issue.
Okay.
I calculated that along with a big wide driveway for the 100 feet, and they'd have to have like a 8,000 square foot house before they would exceed it, so.
That's pretty small for Tim. I think he's probably going bigger than that.
Okay, any other questions?
One more question.
Sure.
What does it cost for the city to do this annexation?
Well, we had some postage costs and some administration costs, and then when we send it into the city, or into the state to certify it, then there's a $200 fee in which we would pass that on to the property owner.
Okay, so that'd be passed on, so
Yep.
postage. All right.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve or deny ordinance 759 annexing property into the city of Sauk Center?
Motion to approve with the payment to be $88 per year for the 5 years specified.
Okay, we have a motion from Dave to approve ordinance 759 annexing property into the city of Sauk Center with an $88 per year payment to the township.
I'll second.
We have a second by Heidi. Any other comments, discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Three of us.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call because I wasn't sure. Heidi, is aye.
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Myself? Nay.
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 Nay. Motion fails 3-2. Is there anyone else that would want to entertain a motion? If not, we will move on.
Only curiosity of what conditions would change things. I'm just curious.
If this would have been the whole neighborhood,
Then I would have voted.
Okay, it's the
It's
single acre
the
parcel.
single.
It's a
Okay.
single
Yep.
legal person, and that's
Definitely.
basically with me too.
Definitely, with me as well.
I want to keep things straight, and I don't see the benefit at the city level to bring in 1 acre here and 1 acre there, and so that's,
so the fear of setting a precedence.
right,
Okay.
so.
Well, the non-conforming structure too is always a scary thing, because you know then that opens up a door for arguments all over the board too.
Okay. No one else wants to entertain another motion to anything else? Okay, then we will move on. Chamber request for Sinclair Lewis Days.
You have in your packet, this chamber has requested uses of various city parking lots, parks, and streets for Sinclair Lewis Days. On Wednesday, July 15th, from 10 to 1:30, they will be having lunch here at City Hall. On Wednesday, July 15th, from 5:30 to 6:30, they would like to have the turtle races and wacky water night at the Sinclair Lewis Park and parking lot. On Wednesday, July 15th, from 6:30 to 9 p.m., they're going to have a kitty and pet parade, a magician and balloon twister and DJ. They want to close Park Road and the use of Sinclair Lewis Park. Yoga in the park on Friday, July 17th at 7 a.m., use of Sinclair Lewis Park. Fireworks, music, hot dog eating contest, and bicycle stunt show. They want on Friday, February 17th from 6 p.m. to dusk. And they want to close Park Road and the use of Sinclair Lewis Park for the bicycle stunt shows and fireworks permit. On Saturday, July 18th, the use of downtown sidewalks for Crazy Days. Saturday, July 18th from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., close Park Road and the use of Sinclair Lewis Park for craft fair and family fun festival. Saturday, July 18th at 7 p.m., they want approval of the parade route, which starts at the school on State Road, goes to 9th, goes to Ash, goes up Ash to 4th, 4th over to Birch, Birch back down to 9th, and then back over to Ash and down to the fairgrounds. This is a different route than traditional because we don't have a detour for the road. We generally would detour Main Street traffic on Beltline and Getty Street. We don't have the use of Beltline and Getty Street because of the road construction this year, so we were unable to have a detour for Main Street. So we are pulling it off of Main Street for this year, and so that is a new parade route. And then they are use of the Sauk Center Airport on Sunday, July 19th from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. for a fly-in breakfast. So I also put in your packet the full schedule of everything that's going to happen at Sinclair Lewis Days, but these that I just read you are the closures from the chamber for the Sinclair Lewis Days, parks and roads, et cetera. What is not on here is the dance, because the dance is by the downtown bars and we don't have all that information yet.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve uses as requested, including road closures and parade routes?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Diane. A second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions?
Is that, I'm just thinking, because I'm in that neighborhood of the parade route. Is that feasible? That's a really small route.
It's actually, because we're going 2 blocks further north, we're picking 2 blocks going north and 2 blocks coming south, but we're losing the east-west one, so it is almost actually the same amount except for when it went all the way to 10th Street and then into the fairgrounds. This is only going as far south as 9th Street, so.
Sorry, it just took me a while to do the mapping in my head.
Is there any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve appointment, probationary EMT.
Ambulance Director Kathy Struvert is recommending Christina Heinen be promoted to probationary EMT status. She has passed the EMT classes, the required hands-on practical exams, and the National Registry written test to become a nationally certified EMT. You also have Kathy's letter of recommendation in here. Christina started her EMT classes in October of 2015, at which time she began ride-alongs with our service. So it is the recommendation to approve the appointment of Christina Heinen as a probationary EMT with the Sauk Center Ambulance Department.
Questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve appointment of Christina Heinen as a probationary EMT with the Sauk Center Ambulance Department?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith, second.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. With this, I will recess the City Council meeting once again and reconvene the local Board of Appeal for the approved property value adjustments.
Okay, on May 4th, which was this last Monday, the City Council conducted the Local Board of Appeal and Equalization hearing for the Pay 2016 property tax evaluations. Following the hearing, an adjustment was made to one property at 611 Getty. We gave direction to the assessor to reevaluate one property at 343 Morningview. After the meeting, another owner at 436 East River Boulevard, who was present with the assessor to discuss how his property is valued, has a change, a recommendation change as well. The recommendation of the local assessor is for the Corton property at 343 Morningview. He adjusted the square footage of the second story in addition to an adjustment based on comparable homes and market evidence. He's recommending a reduction to 3089. The other ID was for the 436 East River Boulevard. That was an adjustment due to floor covering. At the meeting, the assessor had said it was valued as a wood floor, but it's actually laminate, and so they made a reduction of $400 to $272,800. So the recommendation is to approve the reduction of the Corton parcel to 3089 and of the Kristen parcel to 272,800.
Questions? We were all at that meeting.
I guess the one question I had was the Corton house, there was speak of moving the evaluation to 310, but they must have found further.
It had to do with the square footage of the second story. He had the second story, the same square footage as of the first store, and it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? If not, do I have a motion to approve reduction of the Corton parcel to 3089 and of Kristen parcel to 272,800?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith, second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other comments? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5 in favor, none against. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn the Board of Appeals.
We have a motion to adjourn the Board of Appeals. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Now we will reconvene the city council meeting.
Gotta wear that out.
You had missed a step there.
I did. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. We have the schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $94,974.64, paid claims of $13,971.77, for a total of $108,946.41. We have a resolution 2015-32 accepting contributions of $209 from the men's card playing group to be given to the senior center, $500 from the Legion Post 67 allocated to the splash pad, $170.94 from the American Legion Post 67, 2 bikes for the police department bike rodeo, $125 from Verizon Wireless to be allocated to the splash pad. And I would like to acknowledge those contributions on behalf of the city. We have an assembly permit request from Father Jeremy Tice / Deborah Holt for a Corpus Christi procession to be held on June 7th, 2015 at Our Lady of Angels. About 200 people are expected to attend. The procession will be from Our Lady of Angels Church down Ash Street to St. Paul's Church and back down Birch Street. We have a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Lions Club for a raffle and pull tabs on July 30th to August 2nd, 2015 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. We also have a gambling application for exempt permit request from Sinclair Lewis Days Festival Foundation for a raffle on July 19th, 2015 at the Sauk Center Chamber Office. And lastly, a resolution 2015-33 approving sale of excess property, Sauk Center Fire Department. Is there anything else? Questions?
What type of property is that, excess?
Fire hose.
It's a fire hose.
It's an old fire hose.
That was the fire
That was
hose.
the fire hose, yeah. Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
A motion from Dave, do I have a second?
A second?
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items. Vicki?
The Sauk River Waterfest, that is scheduled to be held in Sinclair Lewis Park on Wednesday, May 13th. Alternate in case of rain is the Sauk Center Ice Arena. The Waterfest is held every year, and it brings fourth graders from schools all around the area, and they have a lot of different booths, educational, water-related booths. And I know some of you have volunteered at those events in the past. You're certainly welcome to go down there, to volunteer, to help, or just to watch. It's kind of interesting to see what they're teaching them. The second item is 11B, and this is Police Officer Dustin Van Walde. He's scheduled to advance to Step 8 of the Police Union Wage Scale effective May 15th. This is the final step in the union scale. Van Walde has been working part-time for the city since March 23rd, 2008. And this is information only because it's part of our contract. And that's all I have.
Any questions on the informational? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Dave, second.
I'll second.
Second from Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.